What's going on, guys? You guessed it, today I'm with the P1-M by Icon Pro Audio digital mix controller, and let's get to it. Well, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Cristian. I'm in the audio production degree at Full Sail University, and I just got my hands on the P1-M by Icon Pro Audio. I'm in disclaimer, I'm in no shape or form sponsored nor affiliated with this company. I purchased this with my own money, and I just want to go through the control panel layout, sort of do a little bit of the IMAP configuration. That way you can get an idea of what this device can do. Unfortunately for today, I will not use it within the DAW because I am still gathering experience with that and going through the manual, but I'll go through the basics with you guys and you let me know what you think. All right, I guess before we get started, we would need to turn on the device, right? So let's turn on the device and see how it looks. Nice. I like how the LEDs sort of pop out. And yeah, let's go through the control panel layout. Before we get started, I do have some notes over here, so I will definitely go through some of my notes. That way I can make this video flow a little bit better. So sections. Obviously it's a digital mix controller, so we have an 8 fader channel sections, which are touch sensitive. As you can see, right when I touch it, it turns blue, so they are touch sensitive. Really nice fader motion. They are motorized, so they will pick up any automation rides and stuff of that matter. We have 8 knobs, encoder knobs. They feel pretty nice. You can actually click on them. I still haven't figured out what that configuration is for, but I guess we'll know in the future. Then you have your controls buttons, which is comprised of record, solo, mute, and select. You have one for each channel. And then at the end you have a master selector, a master section, which switches the 8-channel fader with the master bus on your DAW. I was reading in the manual that it is DAW dependent. So with some DAWs, I think with Pro Tools, it does not change the 8th fader with the master fader. All right, so we have a jog wheel section, right, comprised of zoom, which you can zoom in and out. You have a focus feature, more on that later. You have the jog wheel, which is pretty nice. It's small, but it feels nice. Plus you can click it. Hopefully you can hear that. You have a navigation button and like a move up, down, or left or right, and then a shuffle button, more on that later. Then you have transport control buttons. You got record, you got play, you got stop, loop, forward, and rewind, which typical transport control buttons. You can technically find that on most digital mix controllers, and yeah, you definitely get the same here. Then following that, you also have control buttons for fader left, fader right, bank left, and bank right. Now for the banks, you can do it by sections of 8. Then on the upper section here, you got controls, color-coded control functions. Now what this does is it allows users to store in MIDI functions and hotkeys functions on this 16 touchscreen display. Now these two on the bottom here, which says U1 and U2, that just means user 1 and user 2. From what I was reading in the manual, user 1 and user 2 are for hotkeys functions, which I don't know, you can see that, but you have open, open recent, close, new, scrub or pencil, so on and so forth. And then the upper 3 are supposed to be for like MIDI function, pan, plug in input, output, send A, B, C, D, in, out, quick punch, so on and so forth. But even though they established this like it is for workflow purposes, you can assign them on pretty much on any button. At least that's what I read in the manual. And then finalizing, you got the DAW sections, which allows you to assign a DAW to any of these. I kind of already done so. I got Pro Tools on my first DAW button, I got Logic Pro on my second, and then I got Cubase on my third. And lastly, there's the digital display, the D4T, which you got, 8 digital channels, and then here you'll see it later, but there's like the timeline. And that's pretty much it for the upper casing of the control. Right on the back you have the power adapter, you got an on and off switch, you got USB-C to USB-A connector, so you can connect it to your computer. Then you have another USB-C which connects to the display. You have user A and user B 1/4 inch inputs, and I think that is pretty much it. If I'm missing something on this controller, I guess I'll let you know later. Finally, I guess you got LED meters on every channel, which we'll see once I open up Pro Tools or Logic. That way you can get an idea of how it looks once like everything's playing. Now, since we're done with this part, let's hop in on the laptop and just go through the IMAP. It's fairly easy. And I guess we'll open Pro Tools to see, or Logic, to see how it reacts. All right, so I have the IMAP software booted up, and before I get started, I want to show you a somewhat of a concern that I have. So for macOS M2 series chips, you're not going to be able to do firmware upgrades on this device. And I'm just going to show it to you. It might go a little bit bootleg on me. Hopefully, I've done it a couple of times, so hopefully it doesn't damage the device, but I just wanted you to see it and just be wary of this. Warning, the current device cannot upgrade firmware correctly on the M2 series Mac OS. And it's just gonna reset, it's just gonna go back to the regular configurations that it had. I'm pretty sure it's updated to the most current version, so maybe that's why you can't do a firmware upgrade. But yeah, let's go through a little bit of the software itself. We have on the upper section a general settings, which are pretty much your faders and your control buttons sections. Then you have your buttons functions, which are the color-coded function buttons over on the upper right section of the mixed controller. And it's pretty nice laid out. You can change your functions and they're color coded. And then on your general settings, you got your DAW, which you can assign the DAWs on your controller. So I'm just gonna do that since it resetted. So I'm just gonna go to DAW 1, change this to Pro Tools. I noticed that I had to change it 2 times since I did the reset, because if not, it's not gonna, oh, well, it actually did it. And then on DAW 3, we'll do Cubase. So Cubase, Logic Pro, and Pro Tools. And once I like push the button, it just automatically changes it. You can kind of see it here on the screen. You have your knobs, you got your controls buttons, and in your fader section, and then on the right section, you got your functions, which you can sort of explore. I haven't explored a lot into this. You got your MIDI functions, which you can assign to user A and user B. There's a whole lot of stuff, but I wouldn't really recommend doing any of that. And then your values. And then obviously if you go to user B, you can change your values and whatnot as well. On your buttons section, if you press on one of them that are blank, I'm gonna get prompted onto these functions on the right part of the screen. Then you have your hotkeys, which you can just input your hotkey click to change. Let's say you want to do like Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and then you can rename it. And then you can also do MIDI functions as well, which there's your function, and then you can assign a value, and then you can rename it. And it pretty much does the same for all of them. Go to controls, as you can see, MIDI. For this one, you got message type, channel, message value. So yeah, that's as far as the IMAP goes. Now, if you're gonna use this device, there's a few steps that you're gonna have to take before utilizing it. First, obviously, is to turn on the device. Secondly, you have to boot up the IMAP software. And lastly, you load up your DAW. It has to be in this particular order. If not, it's not going to work. Now, before using it in your DAW, obviously you have to configure it within your DAW. So let's do that over on Pro Tools, just so you can kind of get an idea on that. I'm not gonna touch a lot on that, maybe within the DAWs that I use, but Icon itself, they do a pretty good job explaining on how to configure it within your DAW. So I would definitely check their videos out. But yeah, let's hop on Pro Tools and let's see how it works. All right, so I have Pro Tools opened up with a session that I did on one of my classes. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will not play you the mix for copyright reasons, but I just want to show you how it actually looks while you sort of are using it. I'm not gonna go very deep into it, but with Pro Tools, before you start working on it, you have to go to Setup, you go to Peripherals, you go to MIDI controllers, and then on any of them, pretty much, you select one, you do HUI, and then you click predefined, and then you assign whatever DAW that you're going to use. So as you can see, you got a port 1, port 2, port 3, and port 4. So port 1 is pretty much your DAW number 1. Port 2 is DAW number 2, and port 3 is DAW number 3. Now port 4, from what I read in the manual, is their firmware upgrade port. So they recommend to never utilize the port number 4. And then once you have that, it pretty much sets up the device. And I'm just gonna go through the mix session just so you can kind of, you can select. So something that I learned, if you press it twice on Pro Tools, it's just gonna prompt you this message here. You definitely have to be a little bit careful with it. Your plays, stop, I already have the loop button selected. I like how the LED meters look. And something that I noticed on Pro Tools is when I bank on over on sections of 8, I can't go back further than that. I think this is like a preference thing, but I can just do that until I reach it, which is fine. But that is pretty much how this looks. And I'm gonna switch angles, that way you can get a better view of this. All right, so we pretty much covered all of the control panel layout. We've covered a little bit about the IMAP software, and I sort of showed you a little bit how it worked on Pro Tools. That way you can kind of get a little bit of metering and how the faders worked. They were pretty fast, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I changed banks, so I'm just gonna go like super quick. Like that's, come on, the buttons, they feel nice. I don't know if I said it, but I love the metering. I don't know how accurate it is, but I guess we'll know soon enough. The encoder knobs are smooth, which I like, as well as the jog wheel. And the fact that we have a 16 touch display screen, which we can assign different functions with this like color coded layers, that is level changing. And I'm gonna just experiment with it. Now, again, I know we just went through a little bit about the device, but let me know what you think about this device. Is it whack? Is it something that you would consider yourself? Do you hate Icon? Do you love Icon? Would you buy the UF8 or Behringer X Touch, or I guess the PreSonus one, or whatever other digital mix controllers would satisfy you? Let me know in the comment sections, what do you think about this device? Before we leave, I appreciate you for sticking out to the end. I'll think about doing a part 2 series once I gather more experience on the device. Yeah, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe if you feel like doing so, and definitely leave a comment. I would like to know what are your thoughts on this device. So see you next time. All right, stop. So before you leave, make sure you check out this video. It's the unboxing of this device, so I mean, if you want to take a look at it, you might as well click on it, you know what I mean? Just click on it.